What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. It's time for the second edition of my playoff predictions, New Year's 6 bowl game predictions, kind of breaking down why I have teams in the college football playoff. And after a very, very hectic week one, I do have one singular change into my college football playoff bracket here, and some significant changes to my New Year's 6 bowl game picks as well. But guys, if you like college football content, this is the channel for you. Thank you guys so much for the support the channel has seen as of late. You guys want to continue to help show support for the channel, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell down below so you know when videos get uploaded. But there are more ways than that to help me support my channel. You're doing one right now by watching the video, and you guys can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, anything else you guys are willing and able to do to help me support my channel. So, without further ado, you see my lovely playoff bracket, or I should say the lovely playoff bracket on screen. And the first thing that we're going to do, of course, is go through who I have making the college football playoff at this current time. Now, again, this is not a final prediction. This is just if I were to finish the college football season right now, these are the 4 teams that I would put in the college football playoff. Same thing with the New Year's 6 bowl games as well. So we're going to start off with the number 1 team in the nation, and I still think that that would be the Georgia Bulldogs. I still really don't see how Georgia is not the number 1 team in the nation. I think they're supremely talented. Carson Beck's a really good talent offensively. Of course, we know that Bulldog defense is insane. However, there is some growing concern about Georgia. Maybe the run game isn't as good as it has been in years past, and maybe that offensive line has some glaring issues. Again, it really kind of got tested against an opponent that shouldn't have really tested Georgia there against UT Martin. But I am a believer that Georgia will get better. And again, it's hard to judge teams based off week 1, so you can take any prediction that I do here in this video with a grain of salt because teams are going to change. But I still think Georgia has one of the best rosters in America, and that is a team right there that I still think will end up as the number 1 team in the nation. At least that is where I have them as of this current moment in time. My number 2 team, with Georgia being the number 1 team, they will choose to play in the All-State Sugar Bowl. That hasn't changed. My number 2 team is still the Michigan Wolverines. Now, Michigan, something I didn't really talk about in my top 25 video yesterday, they did kind of struggle to get the run game going. However, when you have a running back room like Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, I have full confidence that Michigan will be able to get that run game going. Other than that, though, J.J. McCarthy looked really good. The offensive line looked really good. The defense may need to fix a couple things or really get better at a couple of things here and there, but overall, that defense, I think, is going to be where it needs to be this season. And hey, they held East Carolina only 3 points, even without their head coach Jim Harbaugh. Most of that team looked very, very good. Again, it's still week 1, it's still early. Michigan will end up playing in the Rose Bowl there as well. So who is my number 3 team? Well, guys, they were my number 3 team in my preseason predictions, and I think what they did last week only validates that. They, I believe, are number 4 in the AP poll right now. As of right now, have them finishing at number 3. It's Florida State. I think with the way that Clemson looked and Duke looked and just the way that the ACC played out this past week, Florida State is bona fide the best team in the ACC, and I think that my prediction, putting them in the playoff here in the preseason, kind of when I was doing prediction season, I think only got validated based on what they did against LSU. Now, again, it is week 1. Maybe people are getting a little bit too hyped about what Florida State is. But honestly, if you go back and rewatch that game, I mean, when I was watching that second half, the only thing I could really say about Florida State was, wow. That really was kind of the only thing that I could say, because Florida State just looked fantastic. They were getting to the quarterback with that defensive line. The secondary played really well, and that's just on the defensive end. Offensively, Jordan Travis was superb. That running attack was amazing. That wide receiver room is going to cause havoc for any secondary that Florida State may go up against this season. And right now, they definitely look like the best team in the ACC, especially with the way that Clemson struggled. I still think North Carolina and Miami have some room to grow. Duke, I don't know if they're necessarily going to be able to play up to the level of Florida State if they happen to see them in a conference championship game. So I think my Florida State pick has been validated here. A little pat on the back for that one for myself. But Florida State, my number 3 team in the playoff, that has not changed. My number 4 team has changed. So you're like, Nate, where's the change come in? It's coming here at number 4. Originally, Ohio State was my team that I had here at number 4. And while I still am a firm believer that the Buckeyes are absolutely a player in the college football playoff conversation, they can absolutely still go make the playoff. Right now, I would not pick them. In fact, I would pick Alabama over Ohio State to make the college football playoff, which is where I'm slotting in Alabama there at number 4. Now, I understand that there are some really tricky things here, like maybe Florida State has to drop down the 4 and Bama slides up to 3 to avoid a rematch in the SEC championship game, which is where I think this season is heading, at least from what I've seen in week 1. Georgia-Alabama was my predicted SEC championship game. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking to that. Talking about Ohio State, why did I drop them out? They definitely have a lot of things to fix on the offensive line. I thought the run game looked good, and Kyle McCord will get more experience, or if they happen to switch over to Devin Brown, he will get experience and get better, and that defense has taken a huge step up. But for the Alabama Crimson Tide, I mean, what can you not like about that performance against Middle Tennessee State? The secondary was absolutely ball hawking. They were really, really good. Jalen Milroe looks like the second coming of Jalen Hurts. I just knocked on wood for all the Bama fans out there. But I think at this point, these are the 4 best teams that the nation has to offer right now. And if you want me to go a little farther in predicting that, well, I think Georgia will beat Alabama for the second time. If those 2 teams wrap and play, I think they end up meeting in Atlanta at this point in the SEC championship game. I think Georgia wins that one. I think Georgia wins the playoff matchup there as well, at least up to this point. And then Michigan over Florida State, I think it's going to be a very, very solid contest, but I'm still going with the Michigan Wolverines, still going with Michigan to win the national championship here in 2023. Again, guys, this is just as of right now. Again, these are not like my final playoff predictions. These are kind of, if the season were to end right now, who would I have in the college football playoff? It would be these 4 teams right here. So really, really like the way that all of these teams are playing right now, and some more teams that you're going to see later. But again, if I were to field the college football playoff right now, it'd be these 4 teams that you see on screen. At least that is my personal opinion. Diving on into my New Year's 6 bowl games here. First one up, Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. I did have this as the Fiesta Bowl. I've moved it to the Cotton Bowl in AT&T Stadium. I just think it'll be a little bit of a better site here for this game. But I still have USC and Texas playing off. I still think right now both of those 2 teams favored to go win their conference championship games. Although, again, with USC and really any other Pac-12 team, there are like 5 to 6 Pac-12 teams that genuinely can compete for a spot in a New Year's 6 bowl game. And when I take a look at USC, I still think they're the best of the bunch. The defense still has a lot of room to grow, but the offense looks good. And for Texas, I mean, hey, that the offense has an embarrassment of riches and the defense continues to grow in the right direction. They got a big one against Alabama coming up this week. The preview video or preview prediction video for that is coming out later today. But when I take a look at these 2 teams, I absolutely see New Year's 6 bowl game teams, and I have them facing off in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. In the Peach Bowl, now I know LSU lost that first game to Florida State, but I also attribute that to Florida State being really, really good, and I still think LSU and Brian Kelly are nowhere near done, ladies and gentlemen. LSU is still going to be able to go on a tear. I mean, look at what happened when they lost to Florida State in the first week of the season last year, right? They were able to bounce back. They had a 9-3 season, had a very, very successful season, and I believe that this is, in ways, a better, more experienced LSU team, year 2 under the Brian Kelly system. The one thing that I want to see LSU get better at still want to see them get better at is not letting Jaden Daniels really get hit. And then on the other side of the field, I have them playing the Penn State Nittany Lions in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. I mean, Penn State just looks superb in that win over West Virginia. Drew Aller was amazing. That running back room was amazing. And that defense is going to be one of the best defenses in the country this year. Don't really have many bad things to say about Penn State. But again, definitely things that both teams can fix. I think both teams are still absolutely players in the college football playoff, much like USC and Texas that were on my last little slide there. But these 2 teams absolutely, I think, still alive. It's going to take a little bit of work from LSU to do, but Penn State's a team that can really go challenge Ohio State, Michigan for the Big Ten title. My apologies there. Speaking of the Big Ten title, Ohio State, a team that I still firmly believe can make the college football playoff, I just think winds up a little bit short of the college football playoff, at least as of right now. Again, you need that offensive line to really get things moving and gel, be able to get off blocks quicker, things like that. But for the most part, I thought Kyle McCord has some pretty good throws, and I think we're really going to start to find out a lot about this quarterback battle as now. Definitely in this next game here against Youngstown State for the Buckeyes, they're going to have to play both Kyle McCord and Devin Brown. They should absolutely clobber Youngstown State by 50. So we're definitely going to see both quarterbacks there. But the defense has taken another big step up, as I mentioned when talking about the playoff earlier. North Carolina is here as well. They have replaced Clemson as the team out of the ACC that I think will make the Capital One Orange Bowl with Florida State in the playoff. I think North Carolina is here, and I think this team is massively improved. I know they lost their top two weapons at wide receiver, but that is a wide receiver room that's still really, really good. Drake May is one of the best quarterbacks in the entire nation, and that North Carolina defense, ladies and gentlemen, has taken a big step in the right direction. So I really, really like the way that North Carolina is playing. I love the way that the Tar Heels are really coming along as a team. And I know it is only week one and South Carolina may have a lot, and I mean a lot, of offensive line issues. So maybe a little bit of a boosted performance for the North Carolina defense, but I still think it's a team that's really, really good, that's improved a ton on the defensive side, and I think they are a New Year's Six bowl game team, at least as of right now. And my final one here in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, hey, let's replace our group of five team here. I believe it will be the Tulane Green Wave now taking that group of five spot from. I previously, in the preseason, had UTSA in that spot, but I think Tulane by far and away. I know there were some pretty good performances by group of five teams, but Tulane was by far the most impressive to me. Michael Pratt, that offensive skill position room, that defense still look really, really good. And when you take on the other side, they face another dynamic offense in the Washington Huskies. Absolutely still a player in the college football playoff. You could slot in another Pac-12 team here. I think Utah, Oregon, maybe even Oregon State, UCLA, and I think we now have to include Colorado in this conversation too. I still think Washington is the best team out of that group. Michael Penix has one of the best wide receiver rooms in the country. That defense held a Boise State offense that I think can be pretty explosive, can be pretty good, to only 19 points. Again, Tailgate Green has a lot of weapons there at Boise State, but Washington's offense was superb. I think that defense played really, really well. The pass defense definitely has shown some steps. Now there still is a lot of things to work on there with that pass defense, but these are two teams that I absolutely think are making New Year's Six bowl games here, and I think my predictions are pretty consistent with what most people around the nation are tending to kind of be thinking like right now. That sentence did not make any sense at all, but I think you guys get what I was trying to say. Don't be surprised if you go look at some other prediction site and they have this exact same thing. Now, I haven't personally done that. I'm going to do that after I record this video, but I think my apologies, that as of right now, I think these are definitely the playoff matchups and the group and the New Year's Six bowl game matchups as well. We'll flash the playoff up there one more. Still got Michigan winning the national championship, and this is my playoff field as of the current moment. Again, I want to emphasize this is not a final prediction. This is a prediction for as of right now. If the season were to end right now and the committee had to pick the four best teams in the college football playoff, I think these are your best four, but that's the beauty of college football, right? You get 12 games and not just one. So thank you guys so much for watching. Those are my updated playoff and New Year's Six bowl game predictions. Please be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, do anything you can to help support the channel. But remember to play hard, but tailgate harder most importantly, and I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.